Hey Jasmine, so this is my feedback to you on your draft. This is my first ever recording doing a draft like this, so let's see how it goes. So the first part was reading really well for me. You're nice and clear in your articulation, and I could follow, what was said really well. Just a couple of little stuff with tense here I picked up again. Just watching the way that you're writing this, that's just not quite written properly. You've said some hypothesis. You don't actually need a hypothesis. The research question is enough. So yeah, the fact that you've got it in bold up here, you could probably repeat it down the question down the bottom there. This is the research question you're asking, and your research question is framed really well. I like the fact that you've got the reference to the Salesforce learning problem. Probably just put a date in there as well in brackets. 2020 would be fine because you could access it this year. Your results. So the two column graphs represent speed, the recall speeds between the two groups of individuals. The first group being musical and unmusical, the second group being, that's a nice description. Instead of calling them first graph, I want you to call them graph 1. That's the name, graph 1. And this title really needs a bit more description. Rather than trained and untrained, just trained and untrained, you also need to include the recall speeds. So this is a graph of recall speeds in seconds for participants who are trained in music and untrained in music. Same goes with this graph here. So call it graph 2 and then give it a more descriptive title. You've got the axes labeled, which is really nice. Yeah, so again, I've just mentioned, just do your, sorry, I'm looking at the time because I know I've only got 15 minutes. Just do your seconds to like 2 significant figures at the most. Probably 2.5 would be enough. This is just not required, just confuses your report. So the average score for musically trained is 2.5, untrained is 2.59. I mean, literally, yeah. Now that I'm looking at the time difference, I mean, look at that time difference. So, I mean, how accurate is 100th of a second? I would be looking at changing this. Yeah, definitely, right? So look at changing this. Start at 0 and have your maximum set just above the maximum possible score that anyone achieved in the trials. You haven't put in a table, so you need a table, and it needs to be called descriptive statistics of recall times. 2 tables. 1 table responds to the first graph, 1 table responds to the second graph. And within that table, you can just unpack your data a little bit more. Okay, so you might say, in this one here, we had, this should really be virtually identical. Okay, there's going to be no difference really in the mean times. But what you could talk about is if there's a greater distribution of scores, so where the minimum score is, where the maximum score is, where the minimum score is, where the maximum score is, and it might be that you have, you can tell something more interesting about the graphs because of the distribution. In your descriptive tables, it's also really important that you put the number of people in each group, because we know that this group here only consists of 1 person, so it really impacts on the reliability of this data. Okay, so I am going to send this through to you, hopefully as a YouTube clip. And yeah, hopefully it gives you some nice feedback on where you're going. So you've done the proposal / introduction beautifully. We just need a bit more work on those results, and then you're away with the discussion. Okay, see ya.